Hey, go into the kitchen now, stand in front of the sink and put the stopper on the hole that's leaking water. Turn on the tap and let the sink fill up completely. Then grab a ring or a metal plate from around the house and place it on the surface of the water in the sink. Here's the cool surprise, you'll see that the plate floats on the water even though it's metal. Alright, now lift the plate out of the water, flip it upside down and put it back into the water while it's flipped. You'll see that the plate sinks deep down into the basin. Just by changing its position relative to the water surface, the plate and everything on it sinks. Let me tell you, what you just did playing with the water is actually a scientific demonstration of buoyancy laws, especially for ships. And of course, after this awesome little experiment and messing around with the water a bit, all that's left for you to do now is run out of the kitchen before your mom comes back. Who hasn't heard of Archimedes, the Greek physicist, and his famous story with the king of Syracuse? So, this goldsmith offered the king a gold crown. The king had asked for it, but when he got the crown, he started playing with it and felt something was off. He thought, is this goldsmith trying to cheat me or what? Do you think he fooled me or not? So, what do we do? What do we do? That's where Archimedes comes in. When Archimedes came, he said, "Look, son, you're a scientist, right? You know how to do everything." He replied, "Yes, your majesty, I am a scientist." Archimedes said, "All right, now you're going to take this crown and figure out whether it's pure gold or mixed with copper, okay? But do it without damaging it, don't break it or ruin it in any way." He said, of course, without breaking or ruining it. Wow, these kings always have some strange requests. Anyway, Archimedes left the king's place all sweaty and drenched because of the weird request the king asked him to do. Honestly, he wasn't even sure if he could pull it off. Like, why am I sweating so much? I need to take a shower ASAP. So Archimedes headed straight to the nearest public bath. Anyway, Archimedes was just chilling in the water, messing around a bit when he noticed something. Every time he submerged himself, the water level rose. And also, when he pushed down, there was this upward force pushing his body up. Then he thought, wait a minute, maybe I can actually figure this out. When a body is placed in water, it displaces a certain amount of water, and that weight equals the weight of the body submerged in the water. So I take the crown and put it in the water to see how much water it displaces and weigh that water. Then I take a piece of gold with the same weight as the crown and put it in the water too to see how much water it displaces and weigh that. I compare the two weights, and if they're equal, it means the crown is pure gold and the guy is innocent. But if they're not equal, then the guy cheated and added copper. Alright, let's see. We grab a container of water, put the crown in, weigh the water, then take the gold necklace and put it in the water too and weigh the water again. King Jalala, the guy who caught Archimedes, gives a salute. So, what exactly do we get out of the story? First, we benefit from the fact that books don't have legs. Second, when a body is fully or partly submerged in a fluid, it experiences an upward buoyant force equal to the weight of the fluid it displaces. That's Archimedes' famous principle, which later became the foundation for the law of ship buoyancy. There's a common question in the scientific community that asks why a huge ship floats while a nail sinks. The answer is pretty simple. Archimedes said that any object submerged in water pushes aside a certain amount of water. The key point is that for an object to float, the amount of water displaced has to weigh more than the object itself. If that's the case, the object will float on the water without any problems. So there are three special cases in the buoyancy law. The first case is when the amount of water displaced is greater than the weight of the object. That's the buoyancy condition. The second case is when the amount of water displaced is less than the weight of the object. In this case, the object will sink and won't be able to stay on the water's surface. And the third case is exactly as you guessed, just like that, pretty smartly. Since there's nothing left but this, the amount of water displaced has to be exactly equal to the weight of the object. In this case, the object isn't floating on the surface or sinking to the bottom, it's kind of in between, like it's alive but not really. So basically, if you take an object that weighs 100 kilos and put it in water, if it displaces 110 kilos of water, it'll float. But if it only displaces 90 kilos, it'll just sink. If it displaces exactly 100 kilos, it will just stay suspended in the water, not sinking or floating. Keep in mind that a kilo of water equals a liter, just for those who care about units. Still, we haven't said exactly why a ship floats on water, but all we know is that to float, it has to push away, displace, a volume of water heavier than itself. And here's another fact, the bigger something is, the more water it pushes away. Now, with these two pieces of info in this game, let's say we have a 100 kilogram piece of iron. Naturally, if we throw it in water, it will sink. But what if we changed its shape and size? Instead of a solid chunk, we turn it into a big hollow iron cube. It's kinda like one of those surprise square gift boxes. The crazy thing is, if you throw this iron cube into water, it won't sink, it'll float and even stick its tongue out. And that's despite it being the exact same piece of iron that, when crumpled up and tossed in, just sank. The only difference here is we changed its shape, made it bigger, and hollowed it out, and that's the magic secret that lets any object, no matter its size, float on water. We change its shape to make it as big as possible so it displaces the maximum amount of water. So when building any ship, its outer structure is designed specifically to push aside the most water possible, and that amount has to be greater than the ship's weight. Besides that, there's an air cavity built inside the ship, and this cavity alone can keep it floating on the water. That's because the huge amount of air inside the ship's cavity makes the overall density much lower than the water's density, so it can float safely. This means that the amount of iron used to build any ship, if we shaped it like a nail or hollowed out its inside, the ship would sink immediately, just like a small nail. Even stranger, if we took a hollow ship and simply flipped it upside down so the top deck was underwater, it would still sink. This is kinda like the experiment you did at the start of the episode when you were messing around in the kitchen before you got caught. The scientific reason for sinking in this scenario is that you eliminated the air cavity inside the body. So there's no flat surface for the water to push upwards. This means it's not really about the type of material the ship is made from or whether it's light or heavy. The main idea is to work with the dimensions of the material you're using, make it as big as possible, and add an air cavity. That way it can float to the shore and you can build the ship you've always dreamed of. If this is your first time on the channel, here we answer any questions that might pop into your head while we chill in bed late at night. And as usual, if you have a question that's bugging you, drop it in the comments below the video so we can answer it in upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and share. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. See you in the next episode.